Christmas time is here. Let me fix my beard. Ho, 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 yo, yo, yo. Okay, I'm done. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I am Larry Boo Clown. Thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoyed the review that I'm doing. It's the Christmas episode of King of the Hill. Everybody loves King of the Hill. I love King of the Hill. You love King of the Hill. We all love King of the Hill. But we all do not like Miss Wakefield. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of cocoa, a cup of eggnog, whatever you're drinking. I'm drinking White Elephant G Fuel because it's good and I need energy. Heck yeah, let's go! So we kick off this episode like most King of the Hill episodes. The guys are in the alley drinking. Hank getting ready for the Christmas party. Dell is trying to figure out what to get Nancy for Christmas. He's like, nothing can top what I got her last year, and that was like a painting of himself in the nude, which I don't think Nancy really liked that because she's not attracted to Dell, as seen in previous episodes. While they're talking, a taxi pulls up, and this old lady is trying to get out, and Hank runs over to help her because Hank is such a nice guy. So she looks at the house and she's like, yes, that's it. That's the house.
My sister and I used to live there.
Hank wants to invite her back so he can give her the tour. We cut to the scene where Peggy, Hank and Bobby are cutting down the Christmas tree, and Peggy is so upset with Hank for inviting the old lady over, and she's like, that's like putting out a saucer of milk for a stray cat. Oh, just you wait, Peggy. Just you wait. Later on, we cut to the scene. Hank is showing her the garbage disposal. She's like, I lost my friendship ring down there once, and I almost broke off my fingernail trying to get it back. And Bobby's like, oh, I hit my toe on the door, and the nail grew back gross. When I see it, and Hank's like, keep your shoe on, Bobby. Miss Wakefield then tells Bobby and Luann, store up all the memories you can, because when you're old, you'll have riches beyond all the gold in the world, which is a nice sentiment. And then Peggy's like, oh boy, it's bedtime and we're out of coffee. And Miss Wakefield does what anyone should do to Peggy. Give her a compliment, and then she'll like you. So she tells Peggy, you remind me of my sister. So smart and so pretty. And Peggy's like, oh, thank you. Oh, look. A new can of coffee. But she doesn't drink it. I just need a sip, okay? My throat's a little dry. Leave me alone. Miss Wakefield gets a tour of Bobby's room. I guess Bobby just wanted to be like, hey, this is my room, ain't it cool? But she's like, oh, this is where my sister died. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. But then she's like, oh, she actually just had a heart attack in here. She managed to crawl all the way over there and pointed to right where Luann, Peggy, and Hank are standing, and they freak out. And then Miss Wakefield's like, oh, I'm tired. You mind if I sit down for a little bit? Turns out she falls asleep for an hour. How late is it right now at their house right now for all this to be going on? Because earlier Peggy said, oh, it's bedtime and we need to get to bed and stuff. But now it's like another hour has passed by. Meanwhile, while Miss Wakefield is at Hank's house, Dell is talking to Boomhauer and Bill about what to get Nancy. He comes up with the bed and breakfast idea. The gift that keeps on giving because it'll make money and yeah, it's going to be more work than it is fun. And Nancy has a full-time job. She doesn't have time to run a bed and breakfast. I doubt Dell would be able to do it properly. Bill would probably help out. I don't think those two are gonna work together to make anything. They wake her up, Peggy does that to her, and she's like, oh, I'm still here. Oh my gosh, foreshadowing at its finest. So anyway, they're like, oh, aren't you ready to go, Miss Wakefield? And she's like, yes, I am ready to go. Oh my gosh. Oh man, it's funny because it's like she's ready to go home, meaning she's ready to go to the afterlife, because she drops the bombshell unexpectedly on the hills. She says she wants to end her days at their house, and they don't want her to. They call her a cab. Hank carries her out, and all the neighbors are looking at him like, why are you picking on the old lady? And he's like, she wants to die in my house. What else am I supposed to do? And everyone's just looking at Hank like he's the bad guy. Next day in the alley, Hank's talking to them. Upon hearing Hank talking about Miss Wakefield wanting to die in his house, Dell comes up with the idea, oh, she could die at my house, and we could have a haunted bed and breakfast. Hank's really like, no one's dying in your house, no one's dying in my house, no one's dying in anybody's house. And he walks off. Later on, Miss Wakefield is at Hank's house again. This time she's there to apologize. And she's like, I'm really sorry about causing a scene. And Hank's like, oh, that's okay. No harm, no foul. And then she's like, oh, I drank a lot of tea earlier. Can I use your bathroom? And then she gives like a little smirk, and Hank's like, no, you don't want to use the bathroom. You just want to die here. And then he's like, trying to shut the door. She got her walker. He starts kicking it. And eventually he gets the door closed. So she just starts kicking at his door. And then Dale just creepily walks up to Miss Wakefield. I have a proposition for you. And Miss Wakefield follows him to his basement. You don't know this guy. How did she get down there with the walker? That must have been really tough unless Dell helped her, which I don't think Dell would even help. But he offers her prunes and says, why die here? Well, you'll be getting on the ground floor of a business opportunity, which dead people don't have any use for money. So why would she care? She's so creeped out about the whole situation, and she's like, can I go now? And it's like, oh, so when you want to die in someone's house, it's okay, it's not disturbing. But when someone's talking to you about dying in their house, oh, it's disturbing, right? Crazy old lady. So Hank and Peggy go shopping for Bobby's Christmas present, leaving him alone by himself at the house that Miss Wakefield is trying to get into. They run into John Redcorn at the mall, and he's like, you should let her die in the house, because if she dies and she's unhappy, she'll be forced to walk upside down on her hands. So her frown appears to be a smile, which, oh man, that would be horrible, wouldn't it? Just eternity walking upside down. I'm happy. I'm sorry, I've had too much caffeine, or too little. I don't know how it works with me. Miss Wakefield starts knocking at Bobby's bedroom window. I have peppermint. And Bobby's like, oh gosh. And he calls Hank and says, she's on the roof. She's on the roof. She's at your window. She's not on the roof. How would Miss Wakefield get on the roof, Bobby? She cannot get on the roof. What'd she do? She used her walker to catapult herself up there? And what'd she go do? Come down the chimney like Santa Claus? Ho ho ho, Bobby, I have peppermint. So anyway, Hank and Peggy run home, and Hank runs outside, and he's like, Miss Wakefield, show yourself. Ooh, tough man right there. So he ends up calling the police, and the police are like, you want us to arrest the old lady? And they grab her, and Hank's like, I don't want anyone to arrest her. I just want her off my property. And then all the neighbors are looking at him, even people across the road we don't even know. Miss Wakefield says, what have I done wrong? And the police officer says, absolutely nothing. She trespassed? She tried to break in? I mean, just because she's an old lady doesn't mean she should get away with stuff like that. The next morning, the guys are in the alley facing away from Hank, which, why are they even in front of his house if they're mad at him? Was he the one with the beer that day? Because I know in one episode it was like, oh, it's my turn to buy beer or whatever. But if you're mad at him, just go buy your own beer and go hang out by the hammock where you were earlier talking about Christmas presents for Nancy, the bed and breakfast. Peggy comes up and says, Hank, I don't want you to be upset, but Miss Wakefield died at a bus stop. This makes Boomhauer, Bill, and Dell more angry with Hank because they just shoot him this evil look like, how dare you make the old woman die at a bus stop. Later on, the Hills are having some kind of meal, and they're all depressed because of Miss Wakefield's death, which I can understand that. You kind of feel guilty because you threw her out on the street, but you really didn't have a choice. So they decide to go shopping, buy some more crap for the party or whatever, and they come back and they see a walker in their living room, and they're like shocked because Miss Wakefield's supposed to be dead, but yet her walker is right there. So they search the house for Miss Wakefield. They find her. It's revealed she faked her obituary. They're talking to her, and she's like, I was desperate. I faked my death and blah, blah, blah. Suddenly, they hear the doorbell ring, and Hank's like, oh no, the party. And Peggy, Bobby, and Luann run out to deal with the party guests, get the party started. Hank's trying to drag Miss Wakefield out. He ends up dragging her to the party, and everyone's like, why do you keep picking on this old lady? Why? Leave her alone. And Hank's finally like, Miss Wakefield, if you want to die in my house, you can. And she runs away from Hank and hides behind John Redcorn. I don't know, I guess that's just who women are attracted to in this show. He's like, yep, you can die in my house. And he sits her down in the chair, and she closes her eyes. So I'm guessing she's trying to die just by closing her eyes and thinking about dying. And she opens her eyes, peeks around, and everyone's just looking so uncomfortable. And she calls Hank over, and she's like, maybe I can die some other time. But what I don't understand is when Hank says, you can die in my house, she's like, what? Really? So this makes me believe that Miss Wakefield never actually lived at Hank's house. I think she was just some old lady who knew about Hank because maybe Hank helped her with the propane, maybe Hank did something else for her. Hank is known in the community for being a good guy. So I think she didn't want to be alone for the holidays. And she came up with this plan to do all this just so she wouldn't be alone for the holidays. Because she knew eventually Hank would fold and she would not spend Christmas alone, which is what happens. She's invited to the party and she even gets a gift. So maybe that's what it is. That was Miss Wakefield, King of the Hill. Happy holidays. See you next time. Have a good day, night, evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time it is.